the cardiologist who reviewed it goes super to low to no risk of heart disease, right? I still think you need to take a statin. And I'm like, that just proves to me that they're trying to push medicine so hard, even if it's against every proof that we have that you don't need it.
Looked at what they were fueling themselves with. The fitness industry told people, just move more, move more. But the food industry made sure what they were eating was metabolic sabotage.
My dad just moved over to the United States. He lives with us. He had massive amounts of gout, like really bad gout, suffered from gout in South Africa before he moved. He moved here, he's been here 3 months now, and he eats like us and hasn't had one gout flare-up since he got here. Welcome to the Strongpoint, where we're realigning our lives and creating a space for others doing the same. We're not here to mentor or preach. We're here to lock shields with people who still believe in strength, truth, and legacy. Let's get to work.
So part 2 of our 3-part series on food.
Yep.
Today, we're digging deeper into the lie. Because if you've ever wondered why you feel tired, foggy, unmotivated, and constantly battling cravings, maybe it's not laziness, maybe it's inflammation.
Yeah, this one hits pretty close for us. And I think for a lot of people, millions of people are walking around thinking that they're weak-willed, they don't have any motivation, they don't have any discipline. And really, their metabolism has been hijacked. And their hormones are scrambled and they can't even think straight because of the way that we're eating.
Right. And if you're barely making it through the day without caffeine, sugar, or a nap, you need to hear this. So let's go.
Yeah, I think we can start off by saying we need to stop calling people lazy, unless they're actually lazy. But a lot of people are walking around with like chronic fatigue, anxiety, brain fog, joint pain, all kinds of internal inflammation, and they have a lot of trouble focusing. And that's not character flaws, that's symptoms, really.
Right.
It's symptoms that are your body is trying to tell you that something is wrong.
Right. But instead of listening, we internalize it, you know? We say, I must be undisciplined, or I don't have the willpower. I just need to try harder. I need to be better. I need to do better. We blame ourselves for not being able to push through the quicksand of exhaustion. But let's get honest. This isn't about weakness. It's about a biology siege.
It usually starts with the same thing, your metabolism, right? Metabolic dysfunction basically means that whatever fuel you're taking in is not being converted into the energy that your body needs to function. It's kind of like having a car with a broken fuel injector. Like you're getting all kinds of fuel pumped into you, but it's not getting anywhere where it's going to be useful.
Right. And when your body can't use energy, your brain suffers too. We're talking about things like anxiety without reason, like panic attacks for no reason at all. Feeling overwhelmed by like simple daily tasks. It could be your children, it could be motherhood. Forgetting words. Well, not like me, I forget words all the time, but like forgetting words mid-sentence. Like you forget what you were even talking about to begin with. Needing caffeine just to feel normal. That's not laziness, that's metabolic dysfunction.
Yeah, I want to break down how this actually happens. So let's say you start taking on a Western normalized diet, right? And now you're eating seed oils and sugar and snack bars and grains and cereal and all the things that the experts tell us to eat.
The pyramid.
Every time you eat, your blood sugar spikes. And eventually your body stops listening to that. And eventually your body stops listening to any of your hormonal secretions.
Right, it signals, it's
Yeah,
jammed.
and then your body stops bringing the sugar into the cells where they can be used.
Right, your signals are jammed. It's horrible.
Every time you eat, your blood sugar spikes. Your pancreas responds by pumping out insulin to make sure that that sugar gets into your cells for energy. Now, over time, your body just stops listening and stops using it. So what's happening is you have fully loaded sugar in
Mhm.
your blood, and your body thinks that you don't have any. Like your cells are like, we don't have any energy.
Right.
And now you keep eating, so it signals for more food.
Right. And so that's where the mind game begins, right? You're constantly hungry, but never satisfied. You know, when you get that craving and you think you're craving something, but you don't know what it is. Nothing you eat satisfies it. You crave carbs literally at 2 a.m., 2 p.m. I need to pick me up just to survive the afternoon. It's all day and all night cycles over and over and over again. You might even be overweight and undernourished. That's possible. At the same time, like I talk about skinny fat, that's possible too. Because your body is storing fat, but starving for real fuel.
I would know we've talked about leptin in the first episode, but I want to talk about ghrelin as well. So leptin and ghrelin is literally like, you ever see the old shows where they have like an angel on the one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder? Ghrelin is a hormone that says you need to eat, and leptin is a hormone that says you're full. When they get disrupted, though, there's so much confusion in your body that your body just is like, goes into a crisis mode, and your body's first priority is always to protect itself. So it's going to be like, we need to eat more just in case. It's never going to say we need to stop eating just in case, because
Right.
it needs that nutrition to come in.
Absolutely. You feel out of control at times of that, like that. Like you feel completely out of control. You snack when you're not even hungry, just out of boredom or just because you want a snack. You get hangry. I remember I used to get hangry and they called me Marcia, eat a Twix or a Snickers bar, you know.
Yeah.
You binge and you crash. It's a constant cycle of binging and crashing. And then you beat yourself up because you think you failed. You binge and crash and you think you failed. You beat yourself up. I used to be a binge and a crasher. I know the cycle. But the truth is, you're playing against a system that was designed to win and beat you.
Yeah. So the strong point principle here is that energy is clarity,
Right.
right? If you don't have energy, you can't lead, you can't respond, you can't create or protect, you can't resist, right?
There's
When
no
stuff's
willpower.
happening
Yeah,
that you don't agree with. And inflammation doesn't just steal your motivation, it also changes your mind.
it does. It really does. And so here's the science to back it up. I do have notes because there's a lot. A 2024 study published in Diabetes found that even short term overfeeding with high carbohydrate diets led to rapid insulin resistance and inflammation markers. A 2011 review in Neuropharmacology explained how diets high in sugar and refined carbs, so that food pyramid, 6 to 12 servings, it found that carbs create neuroinflammation, leading to cognitive dysfunction, y'all, and symptoms that mirror depression and anxiety. Meanwhile, a reanalysis of the Minnesota starvation study, a classic study often misapplied, showed that calorie restriction alone doesn't explain all the symptoms of fatigue and mental fog. It was nutrient deficiency and inflammation that led to mental collapse.
Yeah, so let's zoom out historically for a minute. I don't know, for those of you who are old like me, you'll remember that in the 80s and 90s, there was a massive exercise culture that exploded. Now, just to put this in context, I'd love for you to go into the internet and go look at pictures from the 40s and 50s. There was no exercise culture back then because people just stayed active and didn't eat a bunch of crap. So you look at pictures from the 40s and 50s and everybody seems skinny, it's because they were,
Right.
right? So 80s and 90s, exercise culture explodes. Everybody remembers aerobics, jazzercise, P90X. Like everybody, it was everywhere that you looked. And at the same time, there was this huge explosion in processed foods, uber processed foods, right? So low fat everything, snack wells, diet sodas, like all these
Smart
things
ones,
came
lean
out.
cuisines,
Yeah,
everything.
that was
Yeah.
supposed to complement the exercise culture that now was emerging. And the problem is during that time, all of that food was engineered for shelf life, not for health.
Right. So people were working out harder than ever. and literally getting fatter, sicker, and more tired at the same time. And we blamed them. Must not be trying hard enough, cheating, eating whatever they want. But we never looked at what they were fueling themselves with. The fitness industry told people just move more, move more. But the food industry made sure what they were eating was metabolic sabotage.
Here's a gut check question for you to think about a little bit. Where in your life did you mistake fatigue for failure? Like, where in your life did you do things and potentially you didn't follow through or you didn't succeed? And really, it was because you were so depleted. It wasn't just because you were a piece of shit, which a lot of the time people assume. They don't go into and go, hey, what am I feeling myself for? Like, or they'll be like, oh, I'm just not cut out for this. When really, you are cut out for it. You just don't have the energy to do it.
Right. You're too tired. So, this is about reclaiming what was stolen from you, your focus, your fire, your follow through. It doesn't start with discipline, it starts with biology. And if you've never given your body a chance to reset and detox, you've never seen what you're actually capable of.
Yeah, so I want to add one more piece to this puzzle. Recently, a lot of doctors are starting to refer to dementia and Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes
Right.
because it turns out that your brain also needs glucose and energy to run. And when you're insulin resistant, your whole body as a system is insulin resistant, including your brain. And it actually makes some of your brain cells die off. And so I'm not surprised that they're finding this stuff out and that they're linking it back to what we're eating.
So, how do we fix it? Like, how do we fix this? One strategy we've seen work again and again, both in our own lives and with people we've walked alongside with, is a carnivore and ketogenic reset. Literally, is life changing. These aren't crash diets or fad trends, it's a lifestyle change. These are strategic, therapeutic interventions designed to help restore metabolic health by eliminating the very foods that are hijacking it.
Yeah, it's really about removing it's like an elimination diet, really. It's removing all the inflammatory things. So you're looking at processed sugars and seed oils that we've really spoken about. You're also removing processed grains, really anything that's man-made that shouldn't be in your diet at
If it's
all.
not from an animal, don't eat it.
Anything that causes chaos in your blood chemistry, um, what you're gonna be left with is really clean fuel. So you're gonna be looking at meat, like beef, bacon, butter, and eggs for us is the big four. But you're looking at and we do pork belly as well. We'll eat a lot of meat and then a lot of animal-based products. And it's just a cleaner way of eating and knowing exactly what's going into your body.
Right. And that's important. And the truth is, most people don't realize how bad they feel until they stop feeling that way. It's crazy. You don't realize that you felt that bad until you no longer feel that way. And your brain isn't riding a blood sugar roller coaster all day, every single day. And your body finally gets real nutrients without constant inflammation. The clarity that hits is like a fog lifting. It's like you have opened up. It's like you've come out of this fog tunnel. I can't explain it. And it often happens than people expect. It really is a quick turnaround when you change the way you
Yeah.
eat, right? One reason is that many of the most essential nutrients like A, D, E, and K, our vitamins, are fat soluble, right? They require dietary fats, y'all, to be absorbed and used by the body. So if you're taking those without any fat, they're doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. These aren't minor nutrients either. You know, vitamin A supports vision and immune health. D regulates mood and bone health. E acts as a powerful antioxidant. Think of anti aging. And K is critical for blood clotting and cardiovascular health. When we remove fat from our diet, we don't just lose calories, we lose access to these crucial building blocks of human health.
Yeah, the funny thing about vitamin K as well as what they found is that it predominantly the biggest source where you can find that is animal fats. So eating animal fats actually protects your arteries from cholesterol sticking to the walls of your arteries and
Right.
stuff. We've talked to people who committed to 30 days of carnivore and elimination. And here are some of the dramatic improvements of feedback that we've gotten from them. The first thing was migraines disappeared after years of trying every medication. That has a lot to do with sodium and salt as well.
And magnesium.
Yeah. Joint pain vanished even in people previously diagnosed with arthritis. So, a really great example of this. My dad just moved over to the United States. He lives with us. He had massive amounts of gout, like really bad gout, suffered from gout in South Africa before he moved. He moved here. He's been here 3 months now, and he eats like us and hasn't had one gout flare up since he got here. And we eat more red meat than anybody that I know. Anxiety eased up. It makes space for really calm decision making because you have more clarity. Autoimmune flare ups like psoriasis and lupus symptoms calmed or disappeared. I know there are a lot of people that are managing their lupus symptoms by eating carnivore. I know a lot of people that are managing their diabetic symptoms by eating carnivore. Junk food cravings disappeared completely, like because you're full. Like the guideline for portion sizes, eat until you're comfortably stuffed, and then you're not. It takes so long for that food to digest. You don't get hungry again for snacks and crap. And then skin cleared, sleep deepened. Every person that I've talked to that went carnivore said they sleep so much better and deeper and they wake up refreshed. And then your digestion normalizes. So you don't spend as much time on the toilet, you don't get as much diarrhea. Like it's so good for your digestion as well.
Yeah, your gut health. We're not claiming it's a one size fits all miracle or handing out medical advice at all. We're definitely not doctors. But clearly, the pattern is undeniable. For so many people, including myself, this is the first time they felt in control of their bodies in years. That includes me. It is amazing what the carnivore has done for me and my life. And the kinds of transformation doesn't stop at the mirror. So it's not just a lose weight diet. It affects how they parent, how they lead, how they show up in their marriages, in their work, and in their communities. It changes everything.
Yeah. And so there's some real science behind it too. In 2020, a published study in Frontiers in Psychology found that low carb diets significantly reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. This has a lot to do with ketones and how ketones actually are the preferred fuel for your heart and your brain. The second thing, in 2022, a study in nutrients showed that ketogenic diets improved memory and executive function in adults with mild cognitive impairment. So, people who had some kind of cognitive impairment or some kind of brain dysfunction, it actually cleared it up for them. So, that makes me say, yeah, no wonder they're calling dementia and Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes now.
Right. And it's not just mental health, it's inflammation in the body drops like a rock. People with autoimmune conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, eczema, psoriasis, see measurable relief, sometimes within days or weeks. It's like giving your immune system a breather from years of chemical warfare.
So, why doesn't everybody know about this? Why is this message not out? Why are doctors not recommending this? So there's a number of things that attribute to that. The first thing is that it's because it's against decades and decades and decades of nutritional dogma that's been beaten into
But they
us.
also
All
aren't
right.
taught nutrition in medical school. It's
No,
one
they're not.
class.
It's
Yeah,
one of the main things that Rockefeller back in the day had funded was the medical schools in the United States, and specifically did that so that he could design what was going to be in the textbooks. So it's a lot of obviously he went on to create companies like Pfizer and that. So a lot of the medical textbooks are geared towards treating the symptoms and how to do it after the fact. And they took out all the stuff about nutrition and eating well and all that kind of thing.
right.
So that's a part of it. The other thing is that we were told that like saturated fats will stick to your arteries and it'll make you sick and all that stuff. And that red meat causes cancer, right? I remember and they used to say that. I've all my life I've eaten a lot of red meat. So a lot of people said that to me. And then that dietary cholesterol is deadly. So let me tell you a tiny story about cholesterol. I see a specialist for my diabetes, obviously, here in Louisville. And she's a really incredible doctor. But right from the beginning, I told her, "Hey, I eat a lot of meat. I'm not changing that, whatever." And this is back before we were even carnivore. And she's always tried to put me on a statin for cholesterol because my cholesterol numbers are pretty high. When I went carnivore, I did carnivore for 6 months, went back and got bloods, and my cholesterol points went up by 1 point. And I was eating a massive amount of more red meat, more fats, more bacon, more all the stuff that's supposed to make you sick. So she's like, "Well, take a statin." And I said, "I don't want to take a statin." And she was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to send you for this extra blood panel specifically for cholesterol. And if that comes back that you're high risk, I want you to take a statin. Can we make a deal?" I said, "Sure." So she sent me for this extra blood panel, comes back, I'm no risk, right? And they actually break your cholesterol up in that panel between like large particle and small
The
particle,
good versus the
HDL
bad.
and
Yeah.
LDL, and there's only some of it that's really harmful to you. So then she's like, "Well, I still think you need to take a statin." So
And it came back great.
the last thing that she did is she said, "Look, I'll make you a deal. I'm going to send you for this plaque screening." Now, plaque screening, for those of you who don't know, is where they take an MRI of your upper body and your arteries, and they actually measure the plaque buildup on your arteries. And just so we all know, I'm 47. I've been eating meats for probably 48 years out of the 47. So, and she goes, "If that comes back high risk, like, you have to take a statin." I was like, "Okay, that's the deal. But after that, you shut up and you leave me alone." She's like, "Fine." So I go for the screening, and there's a video of somebody, and I'm trying to remember her name now. She's a super famous carnivore who has a YouTube video of her going for that screening. Anyway, I go for my screening. They measure it. I don't hear anything for a few days, and I'm like, "That's strange, right?" So finally, my doctor releases the report to me, and here's why: because 0, 0, 0, 0 plaque buildup on any of my arteries, and then the cardiologist who reviewed it goes, super to low, low to no risk of heart disease, right? And so, guess what? I get a message from my doctor a couple of days later. And what does it say? "I still think you need to take a statin." And I'm like, that just proves to me that they're trying to push medicine so hard, even if it's against every proof that we have that you don't need it.
Right. That's true. And let's take the cholesterol myth. Let's just go ahead and take it. It came from the assumption that eating cholesterol would raise blood cholesterol, leading to heart attacks. But even the Framingham Heart Study, which was long used to support this theory, found that people with higher cholesterol actually lived longer. Yes, they lived longer in older age groups.
Yeah. And then recently I found out that there was a study that they did on,
Mm,
they compared um, meat eating people to animals who only ate plants, right? And they found that goats and sheep and those kind of animals actually suffer with way more high cholesterol, actual cholesterol problems than humans who eat meat do. Either way, in 2015, Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee officially removed all of the cholesterol items from its list of nutrient concerns. And I bet you didn't know that because that's not something they publicize.
right,
And then in 2020, meta-analysis published in the Journal of American College, the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found no significant evidence linking saturated fat with increased heart disease risk. But somehow we're all still afraid, and nobody told us, and nobody told our doctors.
right. And that fear lingers because medical institutions are slow to change, but food lobbyists are fast to act, even with the data. The old narratives hang on. Doctors still warn against steak while recommending heart healthy cereals packed with sugar and seed oils and God knows what in those factories. That's not science, y'all. That's marketing.
Yeah, that it doesn't stop there. There's so much misinformation around this. I'm sure everybody've heard that if you eat a lot of red meat, it rots in your colon, or that a high protein diet will ruin your kidneys. And so, shocker, everybody, there's no science that supports that at all. There's zero evidence that supports that it sits undigested in your body or anything like that, or that it makes you constipated because and I know a lot of people are going to be talking about fiber. I want to address fiber just real quick. A lot of people think fiber is something that helps you poop, and that's not specifically what it is. Doctors recommended fiber right in the beginning because the science showed, and this was proven, that fiber actually helps manage your insulin spikes, your glucose spikes in your blood. Now, it's much easier to manage your glucose spikes by just not eating the fucking food that spikes it in the first place. And then you have no need for fiber at all. Fiber is not something that naturally occurs in our food, just so that you know, it's
Right.
just not a thing.
And another myth that fat makes you fat. That is such bogus. In truth, fat is one of the most satiating macronutrients that you can consume. It regulates hormones, stabilizes your blood sugar, and fuels your brain more efficiently than carbohydrates. Any day of the week, you want to be a fat burner, not a sugar burner. You want to stay in that fat burning zone. It's the demonization of fat, not fat itself, that's contributed the rise in metabolic dysfunction. Remember, you'd rather be a fat burner than a sugar burner.
Yeah, you ever hear somebody say everything in moderation? I used to say this all the time. I'd say when I was a big drinker, I used to be like everything in moderation, including moderation. You have to moderate your moderation. But the problem with saying that now is that if 60 to 70% of the calories that you're taking in is coming from really fake food, right?
Right.
Then that's not moderation. That's like radicalized normalization because that's like being a drug addict and saying that it's normal because you're only taking drugs in small increments.
Right.
It's a similar thing.
Right. And people are really waking up. Like it's everywhere. You'll hear the carnivore diet. You all probably know of the carnivore diet and definitely the keto diet. And they're asking better questions. They're noticing that when they cut out the garbage in their diet and eat real nutrient dense food, that things change. They feel sharp and they feel strong and very energized. Like you're going to be like the Energizer Bunny. Once you experience that kind of clarity, you can't go back to the boxed meals and the processed food and the afternoon crashes. It changes everything.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? The strong point isn't about blindly trusting what you've been told.
Right.
And it's not even about blindly trusting what we're telling you. Please do not, right? Do your own research. It's about testing, it's about paying attention, reclaiming the ability to clearly and methodically going through the information that you're getting and then making up your own mind about it and understanding what the science or the actual study behind it actually says. You don't need permission, you just need the results. So try it, track it, and let your body tell you the truth.
And I would say, my challenge for you all is to do more than a 7-day reset because it took me 30 days to detox. It took me 30 days to get over those flu like symptoms from carnivore. And then I felt like $1,000,000. I was tired. I mean, your body literally changes from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. That takes a minute. And that also you go through withdrawal and detox. So I would just challenge you all 30 days, a 30-day reset.
Yeah. So here's what nobody's telling you, right? Is that fake food also creates fake hunger. And I'm not talking about, we've all had a super hard day at work or done some manual labor that you're just starving that night because you depleted all your energy cells, like that was in your body in reserve, right? And I wish you could just burn all the fat cells in one day. That'd be awesome too. But here's what's actually happening when you eat a diet that has all the seed oils and MSG and chemicals and all that stuff in it. All of those foods are designed in a lab to override your biology. So if you think about it, if you had a company and you were completely unethical and you knew that you would make more money by selling more of your product, then you would spend the money to do the science, to design the food in a way so that you can sell more of it. And this is how they do it. All of those things were never made to nourish you. They were only designed to keep you coming back.
Absolutely. And they're doing that by scrambling your hormonal communication system. Hormones like leptin, which tells your brain, hey, I'm full. I don't need any more to eat. They get suppressed. Then you have ghrelin, which tells your brain, I'm hungry. Gets exaggerated. So you're constantly hungry. So leptin can't come in. So your body isn't broken. Your hunger cues are your hunger cues are broken and they're being hijacked. That's why you can destroy a whole bag of chips without feeling satisfied, but get full halfway through a real meal of steak and eggs. One nourishes, the other manipulates.
Yeah, and when that manipulation becomes your daily norm, then you're stuck in the cycle of chasing glucose highs and like crashes. In the afternoons, you have to take a nap after you eat. You're hungry an hour after you eat fast food. Like none of that is normal. None of that is how your body is supposed to function. And really, it's engineered to function like that. It's engineered to create that dependence on the food that you're eating so that you keep buying more, eating more, buying more, eating more. Now you're sick, buying more, eating more. Now you're comfort eating. It's a cycle that they've perpetually created in the humans.
Yeah. And it's wild how common it's become. You'll hear people joke about needing their snack fix or sugar hit to get through the day. But that's we're really seeing is normalized addiction, which is scary. And here's the kicker. This isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. If they can keep you in a constant state of artificial hunger, they can sell you endless solutions, more food, more supplements, more medications. It's a $1 trillion trap.
So the strong point isn't about micromanaging your macros, right? It's about asking good questions. It's about reclaiming your intuition around it, asking questions like, do I feel grounded after eat or shaky and foggy? Is my hunger coming from a true need or am I being triggered or is it a fake craving or am I, comfort eating or am I bored? It's being honest with yourself about why you're feeling like you need to fuel. And then the last thing is my food nourishing me or is it keeping me numb?
Right. And don't forget, most of the so called research that props up these foods is funded by the companies who profit from them. You'll find entire studies claiming seed oils are healthy, sponsored by the edible oil industry itself. So that's what's scary. Artificial sweeteners, backed by processed food companies. That's not science. That's marketing in a lab coat.
Yeah, you want to start breaking that cycle. Start eating like somebody you trust their body, right? Start eating intuitively, start looking into more kind of ancestral diets and how our ancestors ate and build your meals around that, right? Build your meals around protein, real fats, whole ingredients. And by that I don't mean a whole bag of chips, right? And then you think maybe I am a family. Ditch the labels, trust your senses. You should feel satisfied, not sedated.
Yeah.
Like you should feel clear, not like you're crashing all the time.
Yeah. And give yourself time and give yourself some grace. When you stop eating fake food, the hunger signals don't rebalance overnight. This is not a quick fix, but they do recalibrate every single night. And when they do, oh, you'll feel it. You will know when you've been recalibrated. And the inner calm takes over. The absence of cravings, the confidence that comes from knowing you're no longer at the mercy of food. I can't tell you all how amazing that feels. And it's from food that was never meant to feed you.
Yeah, so I don't think you were designed to ever chase hunger around all day
No.
like a dog chasing its tail. We were built to lead, to focus, to be strong for the people who love us and the people that we love and the people around us. And you can't do that unless you reclaim that honest hunger, right?
Right.
And when I mean honest hunger, I mean really understanding why you're hungry and what you're hungry for.
Right.
It starts with one real meal. It just starts with like one really clean meal that you cook by yourself
Right.
at home.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the golden child of the wellness industry, your Ozempic, your Majora, your Wegovy, all of those get skinny quick shots that are out there. Okay, these GLP-1 agonists were originally designed to help manage blood sugar, y'all, with type 2 diabetics. But now they're being pushed as the miracle weight loss drug. And I know people personally on it. They're marketed for people with a waistline. They are the quick fix solution. A waistline and a wallet is what I like to say because they are super expensive and anyone can get them.
Yeah, and let's call it what it is. It's really synthetic appetite suppression. All of these products were designed to help people with type
Well,
2
you can take
diabetes.
Adderall and do the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, but that's not healthy.
yeah. I'm guessing they're like, well, it's not so addictive or whatever. Yeah. Also, you could take meth
Right.
and lose
When
a ton of weight
right.
and lose all your teeth. Like these drugs don't teach you how to cook a good meal, how to regulate your energy and your hunger, how to teach your kids how to live free from this food system that we catch ourselves in. They really actually shut off your desire to eat by mimicking a hormone. And that's like putting synthetic hormones into your body.
You know, in those golden child of the wellness industry, they're muting more than hunger. People on these drugs are reporting serious side effects, muscle loss, nausea, extreme fatigue, gallbladder issues, even suicidal thoughts. One study from the Journal of the American Medical Association found that patients on these drugs lost a significant percentage of their lean muscle mass. You've got to have muscle to burn fat. Everyone knows that. Not just fat, but lean muscle mass. So they lost muscle. That matters because muscle is metabolic currency. You lose it, you weaken everything, your strength, your resilience, and your immune system.
Yeah, and so that's something nobody talks about. Like none of these drugs are making you stronger. They're just making you smaller,
Right.
right? And there's a direct correlation between the amount of muscle that you have and the speed of your metabolism, which means the more muscle tissue you have, the faster your metabolism. So what they're doing is they're treating the symptom, which is overeating, with basically a chemical muzzle,
But that's what
right?
Americans do. They want the quick and easy, fast pill.
Yeah. So the question that
Mm.
they should be asking is why is the hunger cycle broken in the first place?
Right. And fix it naturally, not with artificial substances,
Yeah.
that haven't even been properly studied.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the root causes insulin resistance, poor nutrition, chronic inflammation, processed food addiction. Because when you go all day without eating because you have no hunger signal, when you do get hungry, oh gosh, you gorge, right? But you're still losing weight because you're eating one meal a day. So their processed food addiction goes completely unaddressed. So you have to be on it forever. People lose weight, but they don't gain any health and they don't gain any knowledge. And here's the kicker: when they stop the drug, the weight usually comes back plus more because the system was never reset. It was just chemically paused.
Yeah. So who profits from this, right? Because the food system's collapsing people's total metabolic health, and the pharmaceutical companies are capitalizing on all of this. Every time you get more sick, every time you gain weight, every time you decide to do this, they make money on it. And so they're selling you the the monthly solution to the trash that we're being fed. And I bet if we do a deep dive or somebody does a massive investigation in this, they'll find that the pharmaceutical companies and the food companies are all tied together. And we're not talking about chump change either. Like a lot of these injections cost, even after insurance, up to $1,000 a month.
And people will pay it because it's a get skinny quick pill
Yeah.
or injection. So this is why sovereignty matters. If you need a weekly injection to function, to focus, or to fit into your skinny jeans, you've outsourced your energy, your decision making, your biology to the pharmaceutical leash. That's not freedom, that's dependency.
Yeah. So when it comes to what we're doing with the strong point, it's not about shaming people into anything. It really is about asking better questions. Like, what if, I'm not broken? What if I'm not lazy? What if I'm not unmotivated? What if I'm actually inflamed? What if I'm foggy? What if the fuel that I'm taking in is not actually fueling what I'm trying to do with my life? And what if I'm, misled by the information and owning the fact that you were duped and then taking responsibility for fixing that? What if your hunger isn't the enemy, but the signal that something deeper actually needs to change?
Right. The good news is there is a way back. You don't need to inject sovereignty. Thank goodness, right? You need to rebuild it from the inside out and with real food, real habits, and real awareness. You've got to become woken up. We've seen people ditch pills, drop weight, gain clarity, and take back their lives, not through shortcuts, but through commitment, through patience, and through perseverance.
If you hadn't noticed, we're really passionate about this, and we want everybody to know that this is the hill we'll die on. This is the one thing for us that started all of this, and that is going to push us in the right direction as a society with feeling ourselves and changing the way that we are dependent on the system to manage our hormones and manage our hunger and everything
Right.
else that goes with it.
And we're not here to sell you supplements or a one size fits all diet or some fad crash or some lie. We're here to remind you that your autonomy is worth fighting for. Reclaiming food is reclaiming power, your power. Reclaiming power is reclaiming your identity. Full stop.
All right, so this is your challenge for the week. I know last week was pretty tough. You had to throw some stuff out, you had to make some new connections. This week, we're going to do a 3-day food reset. This is a chance to actually taste what we've talked about and not just think about it. So, a 3-day reset, no sugar, no seed oils, no processed junk. So, try it. 3 days of eating only what you make with your own hands. Prioritizing animal protein, eggs, whole foods. We don't want you guys to overthink it. If it has a label, you got to skip it. Secondly, track your energy. So for the 3 days, take a journal, right? Morning, afternoon, and evening, write down one sentence. Were you clear? Were you focused? Were you wired and crashed? And this isn't about guilt. It's about really becoming more aware of your own biology, right? And then the third thing, examine your hunger. When it hits you, you can journal this as well. Just stop for a second before you eat and go, am I hungry or am I anxious? Am I bored? Am I dehydrated? Because very similar hormones get secreted when you're dehydrated. That's sometimes why you can feel hungry and then you eat and you're still hungry because you didn't get any actual fluid into your cells. And am I looking to escape something? This is one step can actually change how the way you look at everything that you do.
Right. And if you're already down this road, share it, document it, tag us at the Strong Point. Not for likes, for legacy. We want others to see this. We want to get this message out there. You don't know who will wake up just by showing what's possible. We're collecting real stories from real people, taking their power back. And we want yours to be a part of it too.
Yeah, and we get it. I know I said this last episode. I want to say this again. Like sometimes you open the pantry and you're like, man, I already paid for all this stuff. And we really do get it. But it's probably costing you way more in clarity and strength
And prescription
and
medicine.
prescription medicine. And so, it, and most of all, probably in your peace of mind,
Right.
right? So maybe you toss it. Maybe you just bite the bullet this time, but you do it for your kids, do it for your future, do it as an example so that your kids know that you're serious about this and so that you know that you are now keeping promises to yourself as well.
Right. You were never made to be bloated, anxious, fatigued, and dependent on a synthetic fix, ever. Coffee, caffeine, sugar. That's not who you are. You were built to lead, to feel, to show up strong in everything you do. And the shift starts at your dinner table.
Yeah, if this episode cracked something open in you, if this episode made you really think about it, don't keep it to yourself. Please share it. Send it to a friend. Make sure people around you are listening to this. That might be the one thing that starts activating and waking them up. And leave a review for us. That's how we get the message to more people. And if we lock shields in this, like this is how we grow as a community, right?
Right.
Again, the strongpoint.com/homestead if you want to join our actual community. Um, where just like-minded people are meeting up and sharing ideas and sharing notes. You're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah. And next week, we're wrapping up the Food is Lies series. So next week will be the last episode on the Food is Lies. We'll be taking a practical look at how to build real resilience in your kitchen, your routines, and in your mindset, even when the world around you is flipped upside down doing the opposite.
Yeah, we're not here to sell you fear. We're here to help you build strength and for you to understand that you're not alone
Right.
doing that. Thank you, everybody.
Love y'all.
See you next time.
Bye.